Chapter 61. Are you Dong Changjie? You are listening at novelfull.audio. A feeling of being out of control suddenly came over the two of them. Amitabha. Fangjing proclaimed the Buddha's name, Master Linghu, this idea is too dangerous. You must not think of people too kindly. Although the vision of unity is good, Xuanhuan wants much more than that. That's right, little friend Linghu, you should think twice. Half an hour later, Fangjing and Changjie left the Hengshan sect with sad expressions on their faces. After arriving in a deserted land, the two looked at each other. There must be someone helping him behind the scenes. Yu Buchuan. Or the holy girl from the demon cult. I don't know. Anyway, the plan has changed. Let's tell the superiors first. Watching the two people leave, Ren Yingying walked out of the house and asked, have they left? Linghu Chong nodded, his expression less free and easy than before, and his whole person was much calmer. Yingying, what do you think the future situation will be like? I don't know, but I know that strength is the guarantee of the future. Linghu Chong turned around and looked at Ren Yingying, who was dressed in white and already looked a little dusty. Have you already practiced that martial arts? The other party showed a faint smile, and there was no need to answer the obvious thing. Brother Chong, I have told your father about your idea, and he has agreed to this, but there is a precondition. I understand, Dongfang Bubi, tell Senior Ren, I will help when the time comes. I knew you would agree. Ren Yingying still smiled slightly and returned to the room after speaking. Looking at the other party's leaving figure, Linghu Chong sighed quietly in his heart and took out a letter from his arms. The sender had Hua written on it. 5 words were vaguely visible on the paper. 5 Mountains Alliance. Fuzhou, Putian Shaolin Temple. 2 figures stood in the forest, looking at the temple buildings in the distance. Lu Hua glanced at the blown leaves in the forest and said, the wind direction is just right. Do you want to just use poisonous incense? Don't worry, we need to know if the opponent's innate master is inside first. In this way, I will go in to investigate first. You wait for my signal, or if you hear the sound of fighting inside, just light the incense. Which one to use? Lu Hua took out poisonous incense in 2 different colors, green and yellow. Yellow. Upon hearing this, Lu Hua's face suddenly showed regret. There will be a chance, don't worry, you should be careful here to hide. After saying that, Lu Yuan, who was wearing night clothes, swept out like the wind, and entered the courtyard with one rise and fall. Lu Hua put on her newly knitted jungle polar suit and quietly waited for the news. Entering the courtyard, Lu Yuan quickly found a man dressed not as a monk. Get close, knock him out, drag him to a corner, and activate mind confusion. 5 minutes later, click. He broke his neck skillfully, but it was a pity that although the opponent was a genie, he knew too little about it, so he could only choose another target. According to the information he got from the other party, he quickly flew to the west courtyard next to the short mountain. This is where the big shot in the opponent's words lives, and he was just about to enter a boss's room. From a distance, I saw a figure diagonally opposite on the 2nd floor reaching out to close the window. Is that Dong Qinhu? The face that flashed away was indeed similar to the person's description just now, but according to the other person's intention, Qinhu didn't live here. After thinking about it, Lu Yuan decisively changed his target. In the room, Dong Changjie, who had just closed the window, looked at his subordinate standing there with his hands clasped and bowed, and frowned. Don't run directly to me during this period, it will easily attract other people's attention. The subordinate said helplessly, Sir, 4 days have passed. The adults above will arrive soon, but we don't have any clues now. If the adults above ask questions. Stupid. Dong Changjie lowered his voice, can we evacuate now? Cannot. That's alright, so now don't worry about whether the other party knows there is an ambush here, and don't worry about the blame that may come from above. Let me ask you one thing, if there is no expert in charge, what will happen to us when that person comes? Yes, he will die. The subordinate swallowed. Yes, you will die, so do you still have questions? No, no more. Go down, remember, don't come here. Yes. As the door closed, Dong Changjie rubbed his eyebrows. turned around and was about to pour a cup of tea when he saw a masked man in black sitting opposite him. "Are you Dong Changjie?" "I." However, before he could finish speaking, the other party had already stretched out his hand towards him. Dong Changjie's pupils tightened. At that moment, he made the most correct decision. With a bang, he knelt down directly. "Brother." Lu Yuan's outstretched hand stopped, and the traces of true energy on it distorted the air. Dong Changjie's forehead was covered with sweat. Seeing that the other party had stopped, he seized the opportunity and said, "Dong Changjie, due to pressure from the world, has no choice but to join the genie way. Since you were born, Dong's heart is full of admiration and respect. I admire you as a beacon of soul and a role model for moving forward. If you don't give up, Changjie is willing to worship you as his big brother, and we will ride through thick and thin together from now on." After finishing a string of good words, before Lu Yuan could speak, he had already begun to take the initiative to share his worries. "Brother, what do you want to know now? Where is the secret book of Shaolin? It's in the secret room on the east side of the first floor of the Tibetan scripture building. Or is it Genie Wei's visit this time? Arrangements? I have letters, they are all on the table. As long as you tell me, I will tell you everything." Lu Yuan was really amused by this guy. He changed his tone and said, "You are so straightforward, so you were deliberately avoiding me before? Brother, you wronged me. I'll give you a moment. If you don't tell the truth, you can die." "Yes." Almost as soon as Lu Yuan finished speaking, Dong Changjie immediately confessed, and then lowered his eyebrows and said sadly, "I was forced to accept this task, but after reading the collected information, I didn't plan to confront you. My family still has some connections. Originally, I would be able to be transferred back in a while, but I didn't expect so many things to happen recently." "Stop, unnecessary, I don't care. Tell me, how many innate masters did the court send this time? Where are they?" "I don't know the number, but there are rumors in the palace that there are only 2 masters of that level, and they haven't come yet. You're one step ahead, but the time should be soon. Do you want me to help you arrange it? Ambush site, food poisoning, as long as you want, I can help." That it was the first time that Lu Yuan saw such a high level of initiative. He pretended to sneer and said, "Do you know how many people I want to kill? I will help as many people as possible. Are you willing to die? Well, if you can spare my life for a while, it will naturally be my blessing." Dong Changjie smiled awkwardly. "It's not reasonable that everyone else died and only you survived. It's okay, it's okay. You may also need someone to pass on the message to the court, or I can be your undercover and tell you the arrangements of the court at any time. Then you just need to hurt me a little, and I can handle it. It's very thoughtful, but..." Lu Yuan was about to speak, but suddenly turned his head to listen outside, and then said, "Someone is coming, just pretend I didn't show up." After that, he dodged and hid behind the screen, restraining his breath. Dong Changjie also hurriedly stood up, and almost at the same time, his door was opened again. 2 extraordinary figures were already standing in his room. "Are you Dong Changjie?" "I." Chapter 62 I Can't Keep You. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dong Changjie was a bit upset. Why did they come at this time? Taiwan Novel Network. Circled M, and he deliberately chose this room, hiding it among many small flags. He thought it was confidential enough, but it turned out that they could all be easily found. He complained for only a moment, and then he immediately smiled, because he knew one of the people in front of him. It was the Jinui in python clothing who had fought with Lu Yuan last time. The other person was also quite old, with rare flax curly hair and a high nose bridge. His weathered face had obvious Persian mixed-race characteristics. "Master Lu, you two are finally here. These 2 days, all of us brothers have been worried, afraid that we would mess up the tasks assigned by the higher-ups. I'm not here to listen to your nonsense. Now tell me the news about that person. When will he come?" A familiar voice came out. "He." Dong Changjie's mind turned quickly, and he was about to answer flatteringly, "A black figure has come in front of him, and a giant palm has also come at the same time." Boom. The entire second-floor wall panels, doors and windows were shattered in an instant, and Dong Changjie sat on the ground with a pale face. The giant palm just now almost brushed past his body. For the first time, he felt that death was so close to him. At the same time, he was also complaining in his heart, how could this gentleman be so impulsive, just hearing the voice of the person and taking action. If he can't kill the other party, he will be finished. Thinking of this in his heart, the three people in the yard have already started fighting, or it should be said that the two are being suppressed by Lu Yuan. Just now, the sneak attack, although the two inmates reacted, but it was very limited, and they couldn't completely avoid it. The 3-meter big palm directly pressed the two people to break through the wall and hit the ground. Just as the 2 mouthfuls of blood spurted out, 2 more 5-color palms flew over, and the speed was so fast that they couldn't dodge. The two stood up in shock and anger, and had to take a breath at the same time and were forced to resist. The Lord Lu was still using the 18 dragon subduing palms. The dragon roar was silenced by the huge palm the next second. Puff. Another mouthful of blood spurted out, and he was pressed into the stone brick floor again. The martial arts used by the other person were a bit strange. He took out 2 cards from his sleeves and crossed his hands like a juggler. The red flame swayed as the other party urged his true energy. The giant palm collided with it, and the 2 flaming cards actually resisted for a moment. The remaining attacks fell on him, but he was not as miserable as Lord Lu next to him. At the moment of collision, the other party's true energy twisted strangely, and most of the palm power was directed into the ground. He just took 4 steps back with blood flowing from his mouth and nose, and the power he received was at least weakened by 60%. Interesting. Lu Yuan made an interested voice, and along with it, there were 2 colorful palms covering the sky. I hashtag at **% at hashtag. Boom. Boom. Lu Yuan didn't hear what the other party said clearly. He only knew that this time, this innate master with a Persian look failed to release the force successfully and was completely slapped into the ground. In the half-meter deep palm pit, the other party lay there peacefully like a specimen. I don't know how many bones in his body have been broken, and his breathing seems intermittent. On. At this time, the dragon roar suddenly sounded from behind Lu Yuan. Turning around, he saw that Lord Lu sent a palm with blood all over his face. Lu Yuan's expression was strange. He didn't respond with a palm like last time, but pointed out a sword finger. The 5-colored true energy on it turned into platinum, and a sword sound was heard. Een. The sword and palm collided, and the power of the dragon palm was broken again. Lu Yuan's sword directly exploded the other party's entire right arm. The other party had a ferocious expression and fell to the ground in pain. There was shock, anger, and deep confusion in his eyes when he looked at Lu Yuan. What's that look in your eyes? Do you think I can help you fly away with a palm? Please, I have used that trick before. At this point, the battle ended just as it started. The surrounding Jinui were like seeing a ghost. Not to mention surrounding him, they didn't even dare to point their knives at him. Seeing Lu Yuan looking at him, 2 people even dropped their knives and turned around to run. This phenomenon quickly spread, and people kept abandoning their knives and running away. Unfortunately, they only ran a few steps before they felt their bodies go limp and fell to the ground in fear. Lu Yuan glanced at the eaves in the distance, and Lu Hua was coming with a poisonous incense in her hand. Seeing that Lu Yuan's clothes were not even dirty, she was relieved. She looked at the 2 people lying on the ground, and then looked around. How to deal with these? It's no wonder she asked this question. This yellow poisonous incense will only make people feel weak all over, and it won't hurt anyone. Lu Yuan turned his head and looked at the room on the 2nd floor where Dong Changjie was weakly raising his hands. I'll do it. A quarter of an hour later, Dong Changjie, holding a long knife and covered in blood, came to Lu Yuan with trembling arms. Just now, he slaughtered hundreds of Jinui by himself. At this moment, his face was covered in blood, and he forced a smile with difficulty. There are no survivors on the Jinui side. Do you think you should keep those Shaolin monks? Lu Yuan's eyes did not leave the 2 holy fire orders in his hand. He said in a flat voice, what's the point of keeping them? Kill them all. Dong Changjie's smile did not change. Okay, I'll go now. Without a moment of hesitation, he immediately turned around and ran straight to the monk's house. Just after taking 3 steps, he felt a chill in his throat, and the bright red blood gushed out. You! He covered his throat and turned around in disbelief. There is no way. I am a little afraid of people like you, so I can't keep you. Lu Yuan spoke with regret, and there was even a little apology on his face. There were 2 corpses lying at his feet. They were the Xiantian duo. After he used the heart-seizing technique to squeeze out the great shift of the universe and 9 yang magic skill, they were no longer valuable. After solving the problem here, Lu Yuan and the others came to the Southern Shaolin Sutra Library. As expected, in the secret compartment on the east side of the first floor, they found boxes of inheritance. The 72 Shaolin unique skills such as boxing, palm, finger, leg, sword, knife and I Jing Jing were all in it. It took Lu Yuan a full hour to read them all. Among them, I Jing Jing is indeed very valuable for reference. It actually combines dynamic and static exercises together. With the corresponding state of mind, it has the functions of opening the body, increasing internal strength, healing and recovering, and harmonizing the state of mind. Not only is it helpful for Changxing Gong, it is also of great reference value for the practice of Chinese martial arts. After reading the martial arts secrets, Lu Yuan picked out the unique Buddhist scriptures that he had never read before and read them. This lasted for more than an hour. When they left, the sky was gradually getting brighter. Before leaving, Lu Yuan hesitated slightly, but finally let the group of monks go. Even if it would expose the 2 of them to be good and vicious, the reason for this is not because Lu Yuan is kind-hearted, but because he can achieve half of the unity of man and nature. When he had the intention to kill the monks in the temple, his heart suddenly gave a warning for no reason. This kind of thing has never happened before, which made Lu Yuan alert all of a sudden. He didn't believe that there were people in this temple who were more powerful than him, and this warning did not come from the temple, but simply from the bottom of his heart. He had a hunch that once he did this, he would definitely regret it. With such a feeling, Lu Yuan decisively followed his heart. The more this person practiced, the more awed he was. Chapter 63, See the East. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After leaving, the 2 returned to the inn. After taking a bath, Lu Huar caught up on her sleep, while Lu Yuan sorted out last night's harvest. The 72 special skills cover a wide range of contents, but perhaps because they have been circulated for too long, their shadow can be seen in many martial arts schools in the world. Search TWKAN on Google, but even so, Lu Yuan still sorted it out for a long time. And coupled with the weird martial arts in the Holy Fire Order, he made a lot of supplements to his martial arts and swordsmanship, and updated them to versions 4.5 and 4.7 successively. Qingdong Wandering on the Clouds has also been slightly upgraded based on a reed crossing the river and has come to version 5.6. Although 9 Yang Divine Art is good, its reference value to Lu Yuan is really limited because of its close relationship with 9 Yin Manual. The real gains this time are the I Jing Jing and the Great Shift of the Universe. Both involve the development of the body and the transfer of force. It has been of great help to Lu Yuan in developing Dan Realm martial arts, although he is still unable to practice it. The whole day passed quietly. When the 2 of them went out for dinner in the evening, the Southern Shaolin Jinui death incident had already begun to unfold. There was no way this matter could be concealed. Hundreds of corpses were being pulled out one by one during cleaning. All kinds of speculations are rampant, and everything is possible. But what surprised Lu Yuan was that the entire Southern Shaolin was tight-lipped and only said that he and others were drugged, and that was the case when they woke up. This was the case even if the government intervened. At first, Lu Yuan thought they would take the opportunity to criticize or slander them wildly, but thinking about it from their perspective, he instantly understood that they were afraid that he would go back for revenge, so he simply acted like an ostrich. When Lu Yuan and the others returned to the Central Plains region, this incident had already spread throughout the world. At the same time, there was another piece of news that stirred up turmoil in the world. The 5 Mountains Sword Sect jointly established the 5 Mountains Alliance and jointly issued a very formal announcement, inviting other sects and heroes from all over the world to watch the ceremony. The 5 Mountains Sword Sect, in today's turbulent time, have jointly signed the 5 Mountains Alliance, vowing to defend the enemy side by side, weather the difficulties, and safeguard the peace of the world. We, the people in the martial arts world, have always used swords as matchmakers, using martial arts to make friends and convey feelings. The first martial arts exchange event of the Five Sacred Mountains Alliance will be held on March 21 today at the top of Mount Huashan. This meeting is not just a competition of skills, but actually a bond of friendship. I hope that friends from all over the world will come to watch the ceremony, participate in the grand event, and join hands to draw a new chapter in the martial arts world and create greater glory. After Lu Yuan learned the news, he immediately understood what he was going to do: show off your muscles. It seems that the inheritance he left in each faction has been practiced well by them. If things continue to develop like this, he might actually be able to see the red sunset of martial arts that he originally envisioned. Calculating the time, it is now March, and it is not too late to visit Hamuya first and then rush back. However, I just don't know what the Imperial Court's reaction will be if they learn about these two things one after another. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan smiled unkindly. Bang! In a certain room in the capital, the sound of angrily slamming the table could be heard clearly through the window. Lawless! Lawless! How dare he openly kill hundreds of Geniwei? How dare he? An old voice was full of anger and shock. What's the Emperor's attitude towards this matter? Another person asked. What kind of attitude can I have? Since the death of that man, physical discomfort has become a daily excuse, especially since I heard that after knowing that the man also accepted bribes and had an extravagant style, he smashed the jade pen and now he is asking someone to push it away. That man's grave. Even if I don't have the heart to pay attention to this matter anymore. In this case, we naturally have to share your Majesty's worries. That person has no royal eyes and is too murderous. We can't keep him anymore. But that person has advanced pyrotechnics technology in his hands. If he were to kill him like this. Hundreds of human lives have shown that man's attitude. If we can't get it, we can't let it fall into the hands of the enemy. We should destroy it as soon as possible. Ha, you are putting it lightly. Two innate experts can't do anything to him, so how can they do anything? No matter how strong he is only human. You mean? The man understood and raised his hand to point in one direction. It's okay to go around and coordinate. There is no talk of a conference to be held on March 21st. This is a good time. The person who has been pushing it for so long will definitely go there. We can handle it together. This matter of Xia using force to break the ban should have been taken care of long ago. Lu Yuan naturally didn't know about Beijing's plan. After several days of leisurely travel, they arrived at Orangutan Beach in Hebei, east of Hengshan Mountain and more than 40 miles northwest of Pingding Prefecture. The powerful Blackwood Cliff is located here. Looking around, the rocks are as red as blood, a long beach, the water is fast, and the cliff is even steeper, making it difficult to climb. There is only a stone road about 5 feet wide that can pass through. It is a typical dangerous place that is easy to defend but difficult to attack, but this is only for ordinary people. Lu Yuan pulled Lu Hua and flew all the way up, stepping on the rock wall, using his strength to reach a height of more than 10 feet. It didn't take long for the two of them to reach the top of the cliff. When he came up, he happened to see two guards drinking. Lu Yuan secretly said good luck, before the other party could finish saying who is it. The stone in his hand had already popped out. A quarter of an hour later, Lu Yuan arrived at the area where Dongfang Bubi lived. When I first arrived, I was amazed by the environment in front of me. The garden was full of flowers, the pink petals dancing in the wind, complementing the surrounding green leaves, weaving a vibrant picture. Looking inside, there was a stream flowing through, dotted with 3 bamboo houses, simple yet elegant, with green bamboo leaves covering the roof, swaying gently in the wind, making a rustling sound. While admiring the beautiful scenery, a cold light shot out from the house and headed straight for Lu Yuan, but when it was 10 meters away from Lu Yuan, it began to slow down until it landed at his feet. I thought who was so bold, but I didn't expect it to be a strange master. That along with the soft voice came the silver needles flying all over the sky. Lu Yuan was about to speak, saying that he was just here to discuss martial arts, but seeing this posture, he was too lazy to speak. He slapped back, and a 3-meter-long 5-color palm print appeared out of thin air, rolling over a group of flying needles. and slapped straight into the central bamboo house. In a moment, the whole hut collapsed and shattered. A red figure flew out from the bamboo shavings, at a very fast speed, and headed straight for Lu Yuan. It turned out to be a woman. Lu Yuan was surprised, but he did not stop, raising his hand and slapping the flying red figure. At the same time, he patted Lu Hua's little hand, and the girl immediately flew back. Dongfang Bubi made a sharp turn in the middle to avoid the palm shadow and approached again. Does this mean that he can win by getting close? Lu Yuan stopped slapping and let the other party approach. At the same time, he raised his hand and sucked, and a broken branch fell into his hand, turned into a long sword, and was pointed out by him. In an instant, Dongfang Bubi felt that his scalp was about to explode, and the cinnabar between his eyebrows was tingling. The power of the earth and the field of yin and yang and the 5 elements acted on her at the same time, making her feel trapped in a quagmire. Seeing the long sword approaching, Dongfang Bubi's black hair fluttered wildly, and he shouted delicately, risking blood from the corner of his mouth, and forcibly broke free from the domain. He stepped on the ground again, flew back, and landed on the roof behind him, looking at Lu Yuan with a vigilant face. Who are you? What's your purpose here? Chapter 64, Clear Mind and Determined. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Of course we're here to exchange martial arts. Lu Yuan said casually, remember the domain name of this website Taiwan Novel Network. Exchanging martial arts. Ha! Dongfang Bubi sneered and glanced at his destroyed house. Lu Yuan, a very thick-skinned man, was not embarrassed about this. He came up and asked, although I have not read the Sunflower Collection, I have seen the Evil Sword Manual. According to what is written in it, the male yang fire ignites the internal energy. Xinchai, but I think you seem to have skipped this level. How did you do it? Hearing this, Dongfang Bubi glanced at Lu Hua in the distance, thinking he was asking for her sake, and sneered, do you really think I will communicate with you? I have experienced your inner strength just now, and it actually has some yin fire properties. I have met the father-in-law in the palace who achieved innate talent with Sunflower. You two have obviously taken different paths, and you have gone further than him. Yuan seems to have found his own way. Can you tell me your thoughts? Lu Yuan asked himself. Do you have a brain disease? Do you want me to help you find a doctor? Lu Yuan didn't speak anymore, but just stared at the other person. Dongfang Bubi narrowed his eyes and took a cautious step back. You seem to be thinking of something bad. After a stick of incense, the originally magnificent Dongfang Bubi was sitting on the stone bench with a bruised nose and a swollen face. His true energy was blocked, his clothes were torn, and his hair was knotted, but his eyes were still fierce, staring at Lu like a knife. Yuan, you think you can humiliate me like this? You first listen to my path of cultivation. When manpower is limited, we need to borrow strength from the heaven and the earth, but wind, rain, grass, and wood, and I am greedy, chose the changes of yin and yang and the 5 elements. I think, to master the ultimate changes in individuals to achieve balance with heaven and earth. Lu Yuan spoke in detail. Lu Hua also sat aside, took out a tea set from nowhere, and brewed tea for several people with a smile. Dongfang Bubi, who was originally arrogant, had already decided to ignore him no matter how humiliated the other party was. But as she gradually listened, she was led into Lu Yuan's thoughts. Her expressions were sometimes surprised, sometimes thoughtful, and sometimes frowning, until he heard Lu Yuan talk about connecting the changes in the world with personal changes. Dongfang Bubi interrupted fiercely, impossible. This kind of thing is simply impossible to do. You are deliberately misleading me. Lu Yuan stopped without explaining, but Dongfang Bubi felt that the surrounding environment suddenly changed. It was clear that all the scenery had not changed, but she found that she seemed to be squeezed out by the world, an extremely uncomfortable and depressing feeling that made people indescribably uncomfortable. However, this feeling came and went quickly. Dongfang Bubi realized it later and recalled the similar experience she had just had during the battle. She looked at Lu Yuan in shock. He blurted out in disbelief, "Are you really still a human? Why, have you never seen a smart person?" Dongfang Bubi's face twitched. How the hell can this be attributed to cleverness? No wonder she was so surprised. People who are born with the ability to interact with heaven and earth have existed throughout the ages, but who are they? Taoist Lao Tzu, Confucian sages, and great sages of the times are all people who are outstanding in the past and today. It is precisely because they have insights far beyond ordinary people that they can achieve such achievements in the future. Is this the case for the person in front of me? Dongfang Bubi's eyes changed unknowingly, and he couldn't help but sit up straighter. She realized that she might have made a mistake. The other party seemed to be just here to exchange martial arts, although his methods were more direct and his behavior was more rough. Lu Yuan didn't know what the other party was thinking, so he continued his explanation. It wasn't until half an hour later that he finished explaining and served tea and water. Dongfang Bubi's brows hadn't loosened since he finished speaking. After a while, she said, "Since you have such a talent, why do you have to be imprinted into the image of heaven and earth?" "Oh. Tell me." Lu Yuan became energetic. He spent so much effort and generously explained his own way to the other party just because he wanted to communicate with the most amazing person in this era. If it was just for the sunflower collection, he could get it in the palace, so why would he do it here? Dongfang Bubi's tone contained the words, "I hate iron but cannot become steel. You are right to use the power of heaven and earth to transform your body. This is your unique blessing, but you are willing to do it. You can obviously do it. Even better. Heaven and earth have given you the opportunity to advance, but if you don't intervene and let it change, then the height of the sky is your limit. Don't you want to see the scenery above that day?" Dongfang Bubi's words were extremely domineering. Even though she was a woman, even though she was in a state of embarrassment at the moment, she couldn't stop her aggressive and sharp spirit. Lu Yuan's hand while drinking tea paused, and scenes from the past flashed before his eyes. Dongfang Bubi did not put forward any specific suggestions for cultivation. Her state is currently not as good as Lu Yuan's, but she pointed out a misunderstanding. In people's past concepts, they subconsciously thought that heaven and earth are the highest in the world, and Lu Yuan seeks immortality. His thinking instinctively pursues integrating into the world. Although this is good, it also limits his heart. He already had the experience of later generations and was blinded by it. After it was lifted, he thought of a lot in an instant. It has been said a long time ago that Lu Yuan has not found his sword intention, which means he has not found his sword heart. Now that Dongfang Bubi has nudged him away, regardless of the difficulty of execution, the fire in Lu Yuan's heart has been ignited, and is gradually starting to start a prairie fire. Yes, this is just a martial arts world. How can my heart stay here, in this small space? Since the crossing has already happened, there must be other worlds outside this world, where there is a way to a higher peak. The immortality I seek is not this immortality in a corner, but it is to break through the void, transcend the shackles, jump out of the three realms, and be free from the five elements. He felt grateful in his heart. My freedom is not limited by heaven and earth, and not worn by time. On the road to immortality, I transcend the shackles of the world and travel in the boundless realm. When a thought arises, the wind and clouds surge. When a thought falls, all things return to peace. At this moment, Lu Yuan cleared his mind and made up his mind. His state of mind has undergone an unprecedented change. His eyes left the teacup in front of him and gradually looked up at the sky. An invisible momentum began to brew continuously. Lu Huar saw that something was wrong and pulled Dongfang Bubi away quickly. But Dongfang Bubi, who was pulled, was confused. What's going on? She was unhappy. How could she have made another breakthrough just by saying that? Is there any justice in this world? Lu Yuan, whose state of mind had improved, had no intention of paying attention to the outside world. The originally peaceful and natural momentum around him suddenly changed at this moment, as if he had turned into a sharp sword that was about to pierce the sky and transcend. The stone table and the ground around him began to crack uncontrollably, and were finally crushed into pieces. Lu Yuan stood there for a cup of tea, and then he took a deep breath. The terrifying momentum slowly fell back until it disappeared, and he returned to his previous lazy and casual appearance. Outsiders may not be able to detect Lu Yuan's changes, but Lu Huar, who was close to him, noticed the difference at the first time. Lu Yuan's eyes were much brighter than before. This should be another big breakthrough. Just as Lu Huar thought, this breakthrough in state of mind prompted his mental power to surge. The radius of the 5 elements yin and yang field has been directly reflected in the expansion to a distance of 6 feet, almost 18 meters. Of course, the most important thing is that Lu Yuan has clarified his Tao heart and found his sword heart. Chapter 65, Shocked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'm fine, come on, let's continue chatting. Lu Yuan waved cheerfully. In a wonderful mood, Dongfang Bubi was still a little bit unconscious, and was pulled by Lu Huar the whole time. Unfortunately, the stone table in front of them was broken, and the 3 of them had to move to the bamboo house. Lu Huar found the tea set again, while Lu Yuan stared at Dongfang Bubi. I have already talked about my practice. You can also talk about yourself. I can also help you with advice. Initially Dongfang Bubi looked reluctant, but after hearing the second half of the sentence, she was moved. There is no other way. After roughly understanding the person in front of him, any normal warrior would not miss this opportunity. She coughed slightly and began to tell the story reluctantly. The yin fire you felt before is correct. This is exactly the path I have taken. To put it bluntly, the sunflower collection was originally created by the eunuchs in the palace, so he is naturally male. Yang fire is the key to the exercise. Generally, a woman will gradually become masculine after practicing it, and eventually die because she cannot cut the fire. Lu Yuan nodded in agreement. He also knew this. However, Dongfang Bubi changed the topic and said domineeringly, "It is a fact that women are inherently yin, but I don't believe it when they say they cannot practice cultivation, so I took the initiative to arouse the yin fire in my body and go against the will of heaven." Hearing this, Lu Yuan frowned slightly. After seeing Dongfang Bubi who was explaining, he smiled proudly and proudly told all about how he revised it. Lu Yuan's brows furrowed tighter and tighter, and finally he couldn't help but interrupt. "You changed sunflower collection, can I read it?" It seems that he has been waiting for this sentence for a long time. Dongfang Bubi took off his red clothes and handed it over generously, with a look that was clearly complacent and testing. Lu Yuan reached out and took it. There were a lot of damage on it due to the battle just now, but fortunately the main content was still there. Lu Yuan stretched out his hand and spread it out. Lu Yuan looked at it quickly, but the more he looked at it, the more he gnashed his teeth. How should I put it? It's very unscientific. If the original sunflower collection uses yang fire as fuel and male hormones and aphrodisiacs as combustion accelerants, then Dongfang Invincible uses yin fire as the foundation and estrogen and male hormones burn together. Medically speaking, this is impossible. This is about the nature of yin fire. The yin fire in traditional Chinese medicine theory is different from the big fire or heat in daily life. Usually refers to the deficiency of fire in the body, which is related to physical conditions such as yang deficiency and yin deficiency. Usually, poor circulation of qi and blood or imbalance of yin and yang may lead to the phenomenon of yin fire. According to what Dongfang Bubi said, she took the initiative to generate yin fire in her body and used it. What will happen if yin fire occurs in the human body? Anxiety abounds, fatigue and weakness, organ weakness, constant problems, etc. Comparing it with what is written in the secret book on the red clothes, that is to say, Dongfang Bubi is a practice of burning fire in the body when the heart is injured, the liver is injured, the kidneys are injured, the spleen is injured, the spirit is listless, and the mind is confused. Isn't this just bullshit? Lu Yuan felt something was wrong. He abandoned looking at the problem from a scientific perspective and followed his intuition. He thought of another angle, Taoism's refining essence and transforming qi. In fact, every warrior is walking this path. Looking at this matter, yang fire and yin fire are nothing more than changes in fire for refining qi. This is a bit metaphysical, but what if we continue to extend this? Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows slightly, and another possibility suddenly popped up in his mind. He looked at Dongfang Bubi in disbelief, and then continued to follow his train of thought and look at this technique again. Hiss. After a few breaths, a shocked expression appeared on Lu Yuan's face. Lu Huar, who was serving tea to several people nearby, was also surprised. She rarely saw such an expression on Lu Yuan's face, especially in martial arts. It seems that you have already thought of it. Dongfang Bubi said proudly, and the corners of his mouth could not help but curl up. She was very satisfied that the genius in front of her could have such an expression, and Lu Yuan didn't think she was being proud. After thinking about everything, he went to see Dongfang Bubi. His eyes were filled with admiration. Master Dongfang, you are a man transformed from heaven to man. It's amazing. You actually made it through. Dongfang Bubi shook his head decisively, his pride turning into reserve. With you here, the celestial being can't be counted, but the Huaxing has indeed achieved something. There is no need to be modest. What you have accomplished is, to be honest, of great significance. Lu Yuan's eyes were bright, and he was really shocked this time. Why do you say that? First of all, Taoist transformation of heaven and man is not as simple as a literal description. It involves the concepts of unity of nature and man and transformation, not to mention harmony between man and nature. Dongfang Bubi said that she failed to achieve it, that is not self-effacing, talking about metamorphosis alone. From the Taoist point of view, metagenesis is a breakthrough and continuous way of generation. It aims to break the pattern of the same kind and the separation between things. All kinds of boundaries and barriers. It may be a bit complicated to say, but this concept emphasizes the mutual transformation and interrelationship between all things, and pursues a superb state and extraordinary functions in order to achieve a true universal world. To put it more plainly, that is to say, Dongfang Bubi turned Taoist theory into reality. Relying on the theoretical transformation relationship of all things, she achieved an impossible breakthrough in spiritual practice. What really shocked Lu Yuan was the potential of the human body. The reason why Dongfang Bubi is so proud is because of this. This is equivalent to telling you in a book that a person's brain can eventually become a god through development. You may smile and agree with this news on the surface, but you may have doubts in your heart. But one day, if a person really appears and masters telekinesis through independent exploration and development, how would you feel? Anyway, Lu Yuan really felt the saying man conquers nature. This is also a great encouragement for him, and it very intuitively reflects the importance of mind. Dongfang Bubi is like this, and she has walked the path of transformation. Throughout the whole process, her spirit and body are suffering all the time, but the results are remarkable. If the practice of the genuine sunflower manual is like stewing over a high fire, after a certain temperature, a hole must be opened on the earthenware jar to allow it to bubble and release gas before. Continuing, then Dongfang Bubi is a slow fire soup. She does not need to open a pore, and the soup is more refined. This is why, although the faces of the sunflower eunuchs are wrinkle-free, they are abnormally red, while Dongfang Bubi is more and more beautiful and charming. Thinking of this, Lu Yuan admired it more and more, and immediately asked Tuar to find a pen and ink. He wrote down the way to take advantage of the heaven and earth, and handed it to Dongfang Bubi. Dongfang sect leader, your path is actually very clear, that is, to continue on the path of heaven and man, but this path is destined to be difficult. I can't help you with the method of the transformation, you need to break through it yourself, but I can help you a little on the path of heaven and man. Dongfang Bubi subconsciously reached out to take the content, and after reading it, her eyes were full of light, and she looked up at Lu Yuan's clear eyes. She suddenly looked at Lu Huar. Sister, you are really enviable. Lu Huar was stunned, then looked at Lu Yuan, her face slightly red, and complimented Dongfang Bubi. Lu Yuan smiled and continued, I said Dongfang sect leader. Call me Dongfang. Okay, Dongfang, I believe my path can also be a reference for you, so I will waste my words again. You have achieved the innate, but your spirit and body are not up to standard. You can rely on the transformation method to gradually enhance in the future. When you reach the extreme, you will feel it in your heart. As for the method of borrowing momentum, it is actually a bit tricky. You can cultivate a kind of momentum from now on. When you master it, it will be the moment of your promotion and transformation when you match it with perfect spirit and spirit. Dongfang Bubi listened patiently, and then stood up and bowed. It was the master-disciple ceremony, and Lu Yuan did exactly this kind of thing. Now in this world, only he can sort out this road to heaven so clearly. Oh, why are you being polite? I said it was an exchange. I also gained a lot today. Lu Yuan said with a smile, but he didn't hide at all. Chapter 66 begins. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Lu Yuan was telling the truth. He said so much to the other party because he was grateful for his enlightenment and because of his talent. He really wanted to know how far Dongfang Booby could go with his help, and this help also gave him a sense of joy as a fellow Taoist. The two chatted for a while. Lu Yuan asked to see the secrets of Haimu Cliff. Dongfang Booby would not refuse and took them there personally. In a cliff cave, there were several rows of bookshelves. Lu Yuan passed by the others and went straight to the Taijiquan Sutra, which he had been looking forward to for a long time. However, after reading it, Lu Yuan looked regretful. It was not that the secret book was fake. It was indeed written by Zhang Laodao himself. After all, it also involved the field of Taiji, which obviously surpassed traditional martial arts. When ordinary martial artists saw it, they would probably think that the word field was an adjective and could not imagine that it was the literal meaning. What made Lu Yuan speechless was that the changes of movement and stillness and changes of yin and yang involved in it also existed in Lu Yuan's own field, and he even had an additional change of the 5 elements. This does not mean that Lu Yuan's understanding of Tai Chi surpassed Zhang Sanfeng. As we all know, words cannot convey the original author's emotions 100%, even if Lu Yuan's comprehension is against the sky. He cannot peek into what Zhang Sanfeng did not write, and it can be seen that when Zhang Laodao wrote this book, it was for the convenience of future generations to read, so the text listed a large number of changes in yin and yang of all things in the world, and the content wanted to explain his core ideas as simply as possible, but this also led to some more profound things that were destined to not be completely put on paper. If possible, he really wanted to talk to the other party in person. As the grandmaster of the martial arts of the world, Zhang Laodao would never disappoint people. Regretfully put down the book, Lu Yuan hastily read the remaining martial arts secrets, and basically there was nothing that could catch his eye. That's all. After leaving Yadong, Lu Yuan stayed on Blackwood Cliff for another 3 days. In addition to exchanging martial arts with Dongfang Booby, he also spent time using the resources on Blackwood Cliff to do some things. The reason for doing this was that the secret agents of the Beijing demon cult discovered that there were significant personnel changes in the Imperial Guards. Considering the upcoming 5 Mountains Alliance, Lu Yuan was naturally alert and made preparations in advance. 3 days later in the afternoon, Lu Yuan took Lu Huar down Blackwood Cliff. Before leaving, Lu Yuan gave a fake death pill to Dongfang Booby, telling her that there would be trouble in the near future. As for how to deal with it, it was up to her to use it or not. That is, the day after Lu Yuan came down the mountain, Ren Wuxing, Xiang Wentian, Ren Yingying, and Ling Huchong went up Blackwood Cliff as in the original work. The result of that battle soon spread throughout the world. Ren Wuxing and Xiang Wentian were seriously injured, and Ren Yingying and Ling Huchong cooperated to kill Dongfang Booby. However, some people said that Dongfang Booby was not dead because no body was seen. But no matter what the rumors were, the leader of the demon cult was replaced and returned to Ren Wuxing's hands. Every day, big and small things happen in the Jianghu. The waiters always have something new to say when they welcome and see off customers. If you praise him and give him a little money, you can often get some private and erotic versions. For example, the disciples of Huashan Mountain madly expressed their love for the little junior sister. A certain Taibao of Songshan Mountain spoke the truth after drinking and lost his virginity. Someone in Hengshan Mountain sang another erotic song. The disciples of Taishan Mountain made sticks to carry the mountain to train their physique, and the emotional twists and turns of the Hengshan leader made the disciples happy. Amidst the turmoil, the time has come to March 21st, the day of the 5 Mountains Alliance exchange meeting. Huashan sect began to get lively early in the morning. Dayo, go and see if there is anything missing from the incense burner and offerings. Liang Fa, go to the foot of the mountain and guard the martial arts stage first. Wait there, and notify me at any time if there is anything. Zhen Ming, go to the etiquette master to go through the process again and see if there is anything that has not been considered. Shaner. Don't run around, pay attention to your image, and come with me to receive the leaders later. Ouch. I remembered that there is also the Alliance Stone. It rained a little last night, and I don't know if it will have any impact. Old Yu was wearing the latest Confucian robes, but now he looked like a bridal chamber, arranging his children to check everywhere. His expression couldn't even suppress his noble spirit, and the whole person was more excited than the new year. This was the most glorious day for old Yu in all these years. No one knew how he convinced the other 4 mountains to be willing to hold the first show at Huashan. Not far away, the colorful flags of the latest 5 mountains alliance had been laid from the top of the mountain to the foot of the mountain. There were only 3 things to do at today's exchange meeting. First, the 5 mountain sword sects, witnessed by many heroes, formally formed an alliance on the top of Huashan Mountain. There will be some etiquette procedures, and a huge stone will be prepared. At that time, the head of the 5 mountains will insert a special long sword on it to witness the oath. Second, martial arts demonstrations and competitions will be held on the martial arts stage at the foot of the mountain. The purpose is to exchange martial arts, which is not limited to the 5 mountain sword sect. Third, other martial arts sects are sincerely invited to join this alliance and advance and retreat together in the future. The morning ceremony went smoothly, with good weather and clear skies. Shaolin and Wudong arrived in the middle of the process, but were met with a wave of sarcasm. The 2 sects had to leave early. After the ceremony, a group of martial artists returned to the martial arts arena at the foot of the mountain. The martial arts exchange began immediately, which is why many martial artists are willing to come here to watch. In the venue that can accommodate thousands of people, there is a circular high platform in the center, facing the seat of the headmaster in the north, and a circle of spectators stands around it. For such a martial arts event, Xuanhuan people are very happy to join in the fun, because they can not only learn martial arts secretly, but also spread their fame, and they may be noticed by the major sects on the stage and be accepted as disciples. The rest of the morning is for individual martial arts performances. Because it is the first session, most Xuanhuan people are afraid of exposing their martial arts and are unwilling to go on stage. Most of them are disciples of the 5 mountains who go on stage to show. It was not until the afternoon that the competition in fighting began one after another. As the juniors finished fighting, the heads of the 5 mountains came on stage one after another. This is the time to really show off their muscles. They accepted 10 challengers from the Xuanhuan to show their martial arts. Finally, there was an internal competition between the 5 heads. Although they are allies, mutual comparison is inevitable. The 5 heads who have learned different inheritances showed their full strength in front of the Xuanhuan public for the first time. The fighting movement obviously turned a level, and the high platform seemed to be run over by a steamroller. The originally noisy audience seats around were already as quiet as chickens. For some spies in the audience seats, the effect of establishing prestige has been achieved. But more Xuanhuan people only felt their blood boiling, and they finally knew the gap between themselves and the high-ranking sections. For a time, I don't know how many Xuanhuan people thought about going up the mountain to become disciples immediately after the meeting. The fiery heart of martial arts and strength has also taken root in the hearts of these people. In the end, after a fierce battle, Xuanhuan used the dual internal strength of ice and fire to win a move from Lao Yu by chance and won the first place in the first alliance exchange meeting. Lao Yu seemed to have expected this answer and ranked second with a smile. Mo De broke the 9 swords of Dugu with a magic sword and ranked third. Linghu Chom was fourth. Taishan sect had a short time and hard Qigong was not fully developed, so it could only be at the end. After that, there was a polite invitation of formal words, and everything seemed to be coming to a successful conclusion. But at this moment, someone suddenly collapsed in the arena, and then it spread rapidly throughout the arena as if it was contagious. Even the 5 mountains sect leader on the high platform lost all his internal strength and fell to the ground with an ugly face. Somewhere on a slope far away from the martial arts arena, 2 figures who were always paying attention to this side were talking. Ah! It started. Are they imitating us? Where are they? Southeast. They occupy the upper wind. TSK, this scene always gives me an inexplicable sense of déjà vu. Chapter 67, Forced. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the 2 of them finished speaking, a group of guards emerged from the southeast, quickly approached the field, and surrounded the crowd of Xuanhuan guests in a semi-arc shape, but deliberately left a distance of 100 meters. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network. At this time, a guard wearing a bullfight suit and a big beard walked out of the crowd. His eyes were like a torch, scanning every Jianghu guest present, and he spoke slowly, with a low and powerful voice. You, the children of Jianghu, should each be content with your destiny. You are a knight and a righteous man, but why have you gathered so many people here today to engage in combat? It is clear that you are plotting evil and committing rebellion. As soon as these words came out, the air around them seemed to freeze. The faces of many paralyzed Jianghu people were filled with astonishment and shock, followed immediately by unparalleled anger. You're talking nonsense. We are just competing and communicating, how can we talk about rebellion? Yes, this is just a competition and exchange meeting between Jianghu sections. My lord, are you mistaken? Damn it, these crazy dogs did it on purpose. That there was a lot of noise in the field for a while. Seeing this, the commander raised a sneer at the corner of his mouth and continued, the imperial court has treated you well, so why do you want to rebel? Do you think you can shake the Ming dynasty with the power of mere ants like you? It's simply what a fool. Today, we are here to catch you all, to serve as a warning to the world, and to let the world know that those who conspire against you will never end well. If you want to impose a crime, why bother? Zhuo Lengchan's eyes were red. You want to dig up the roots of the world, is it really that easy? People in the world are not fools, and you can't stop everyone from talking about it. Today you kill, let's wait, tomorrow will be the day when your temple falls down. The leading commander was not annoyed at all by these words. He seemed to have not heard them and looked around the field again. After a moment, he suddenly said, two children of the Lu family, the court has found out your identities. I know that you are also present. Can you come out and see me? Don't worry, the court has already made a decision regarding Mr. Lu Jinyan. Are willing to be rehabilitated and granted titles, provided that both of them are willing to serve the imperial court. You know, everyone in the palace is very fond of the two of you. Now that things are over, how about you follow me back to the capital and start everything over again? After finishing speaking, the people around him all frowned and looked around. Could it be that there are connected households among them? However, after waiting for a while, no one came forward. Why bother? Don't you want to vindicate Mr. Lu's name after his death? The commander pretended to sigh with regret, or do you just want to watch these children of the world die for you? You have made this happen all by yourself. What a situation. Zhu Xian's remarks immediately surprised the people in the arena. They looked around and whispered to each other. The commander took everything in his eyes, looked sarcastic, and said in an admiring tone, Lu Jinyan, the former cabinet scholar, when he was demoted to beg on the street, he took in two children, the male named Yuan and the female named Hua. Among them, Lu Yuan was born with an intelligence that was close to that of a demon. He had been dormant for many years. In the 10th year of Wanli, he officially entered the world and began to stir up troubles. First, he was the Fuzhou Lin family, and then the Five Mountains Sword sect. He read all the martial arts secret books and used them to innovate and leave many inheritances. In the middle of it, he even killed Jin Yi, started internal fights, blackmailed Shaolin, and spread rumors, until the scene like this today. He was behind the scenes, but he manipulated the entire world and successfully pushed him to be on the opposite side of the court. He was only 15 years old and it took him less than 2 years to accomplish this. As soon as this statement came out, all the sects in the world were in an uproar, especially the sects that had been inherited. Although they had speculated before, they could not imagine that this was something that a 15-year-old child could do. For a time, everyone had mixed feelings. However, there were many people from all over the world in the court, and there were all kinds of people. After hearing about Lu Yuan's deeds, they were shocked, but that was all. In comparison, they cared more about their own lives. My lord, since you know that this matter was driven by Lu Yuan, you should understand that it has nothing to do with us, so why are you doing this? That's right, sir, please let me go. We are all citizens of the Ming dynasty. We have no intention of rebellion. Yes, sir, do you know that person's appearance? I can help you find him. Yanjiang, there was another burst of noise, only Lao Yu and others were not angry at being teased. Although Lu Yuan wanted to drive a wedge between the two parties, the court was really going to take action against Jiang Hu. Even without Lu Yuan, it was only a matter of time. What's more, people have passed it down and you know whether it smells good or not. Ha! The leading commander suddenly laughed. He raised his hand and said, I know, of course I know, many people here are innocent, but... Facing the expectant looks of many people, he suddenly revealed his sharp white teeth and said, Brother Lu Yuan was right. Jiang Hu, an illegal armed organization, is a cancer to the Ming dynasty. The genie guards are here to protect it. The safety of the Ming dynasty is our own responsibility, and we naturally cannot tolerate its existence, so I'm sorry everyone, if you want to blame it, it's yourselves who chose to step into the quagmire of the world, of course. When many people were extremely depressed, he took a deep breath and said, if those two people could stand up and follow us, today's incident would naturally be avoided. I will lead my brothers to participate in a martial arts event. After hearing what he said, most people in the venue immediately started looking for traces of Lu Yuan and the two, however, after searching for nothing, many Jianghu people got anxious and started to shout. Among the voices, there were those who gave earnest advice, those who cursed angrily, and those who condemned morally. For a moment, it was like a speech at the market. Everyone. Lao Yu barely raised his voice, and he panted, don't you understand? The court has never intended to let us go from the beginning. Whether Mr. Lu Yuan exists or not, the hanging butcher knife will fall sooner or later. There is no need to be lucky. Even if we really push Mr. Lu Yuan out today, they will still attack us. Am I right, this Jinui sir, that the last words were asked to the commander in the field? Master Yu, I really want to know what martial arts you have acquired that has changed you so much. I am very curious. If I kill all of you masters on the spot, can I ask the two of them to show up? Come if you want to kill me, no need to say more. No, I won't do it myself. You people in the martial arts world always have some strange things on you. After saying that, he waved his hand, and 5 brown-black heavy objects were pushed out. When Lao Yu and others saw it, their pupils suddenly shrank. General Cannon, that this thing is also called Changjie General. It is one of the main artillery in the Wanli period. It is very powerful. According to the model, it can be divided into General, Second General, Third General, Fourth General and Fifth General. Among them, the General Cannon is the most powerful artillery and is often used in sieges and field battles. And the 5 cannons in front of us are the largest model that can be pushed out after internal coordination. The Second General, no wonder these Jinui had obviously drugged everyone, but they were still unwilling to get close at a distance of 100 meters. It turned out that they were well prepared. The 5 Jinui quickly loaded the ammunition and aimed the muzzle at the circular platform. Then, 5 torches were placed at the end of the barrel, less than 10 centimeters away from the fuse, ready to be ignited at any time. The leading commander looked around the field with a warm smile. I will count down 10 times. If you two don't show up again, I will just fire without paying any attention. 10. Chapter 68 Bombardment. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The countdown instantly broke the mentality of many people at the scene. Amidst all the shouting, the Jinui commander shouted numbers without paying attention to anyone else. 9, 8. Listening to the countdown, a young man in uniform in the Jinui team was constantly walking towards the 5 cannons. 7, 6. As he got closer, the young man silently estimated the distance, just a little bit more. He continued to move forward. Stop! Suddenly a voice sounded beside him, it's you, come over and help. The one who shouted was an older Jinui, who was now working with another person to carry a bamboo basket with black bullets in it. However, in the face of the shouting, the young Jinui did not stop at all. The older Jinui felt that he was rejected and was about to scold him, but the other party suddenly turned back and glanced. Just one glance, he felt dizzy and froze in place. 5, 4. The young man's footsteps got closer. At this point, he was sure that he could deal with the 5 cannons. Just as he was about to make a move, his eyes suddenly narrowed, and he keenly discovered that something was wrong. There were actually 10 cannons hidden in the place blocked by the crowd in the center. Upon learning this unexpected news, Lu Yuan's mind turned and he immediately changed his mind. The original purpose of destroying the cannons was changed to capturing the commander first and then destroying the cannons. All the thoughts were only in an instant, and the right foot that was taken out had turned to the direction of the commander when it landed. "Who are you? Which centurion are you from?" Someone blocked the front again, and the shouting made many people around cast their eyes. The countdown in the distance was still going on, and it was obvious that no one noticed the movement here. After all, more than 3,000 Jinui came to the scene, which was equivalent to all 3,000 households being dispatched, and the distribution area was naturally not small. 3, 2. Listening to the final countdown, Lu Yuan suddenly smiled, and the true energy in his body was ready. "Stop!" At this time, a loud shout came from a distance, which immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. A huge group of people from the Sun and Moon sect surrounded them from the southwest and confronted many Jinui head-on. The leaders were Ren Wuxing, Xuanhuan, and Ren Yingying, who was dressed in white and had a cold face. The latter looked at Ling Huchong in the field and nodded slightly. Ling Huchong forced a smile, and he couldn't tell what it felt like. The commander in chief saw this situation, and his eyes flashed with surprise, but he was not panicked. "It's really eye-opening. I was wondering where your 5 Mountain Sword sect got the confidence from. It turns out that it's not that you are tough, but that you secretly colluded with the demon sect. Is this what you call the incompatibility of good and evil? Ha ha ha. I wonder what the reaction of your ancestors would be when they saw this situation today." Hearing him say this, the faces of the people from the 5 Mountain Sword sect on the stage were not good. However, Ren Wuxing, who came rushing over, was not affected at all. He pointed at the other party's nose and cursed, "You red-skinned hawk dog is full of tricks. Even at this moment, you still don't forget to provoke the various factions in my Jianghu. The grievances between my divine sect and the 5 Mountain Sword sect are disputes within the Jianghu. We know our limits. Now that we are at the time of lips and teeth are cold, we will naturally join hands to resist your invasion. I'm saying this, if you want to kill them today, you must be prepared to die." Ha 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 ha. That the leading Jinui seemed to have heard a big joke. He looked around with contempt in his eyes. "You Jianghu grass, do you really think that this group of demons can save your lives?" After he finished speaking, as if to confirm what he said, the ground shook, and another group of people appeared. The rear of the demon sect was also wrapped up, all wearing cavalry armor. The Ming Tiger War camp, under the pretext of normal deployment, passed by Huashan and noticed changes, and came here to help. This is the excuse found by some people in the court for this rehabilitation. At this moment, the faces of the people at the scene, including Ren Wuxing who had just spoken, changed. The initiative was lost again. If they were not careful, they would be surrounded and killed first. "None of you can escape today," the commander in the field said confidently. "Since those 2 people don't want to show up, there is no need to delay any longer. Open them." Ha! It seemed that a gust of wind blew by. Everyone saw 2 3-meter-long palms passing through the air, and with exaggerated force, they instantly flattened the 2 cannons. The Jinui commander, who was just arrogant, had already fallen into Lu Yuan's hands. So what? "Everyone, stop it." The first sentence was asked to the commander, and the second sentence was directed to the whole audience, and when he spoke, Lu Yuan did not stop. According to the route just planned, he kicked the nearest cannon barrel and turned around to throw 2 more slaps. In the continuous booming sound, the 5 cannons of the Jinui were all useless. And all this was just a matter of words. Thanks to Ren Wuxing's appearance just now, his actions were much smoother. Only then did everyone see clearly the handsome young man who suddenly appeared in the field. He was the person that Jinui was looking for this time, Lu Yuan. When everyone reacted, he had already taken the hostages in his hands and went straight to the remaining 10 cannons. "Open fire directly." At this time, a strange voice from Jinui suddenly issued an order. Lu Yuan's pupils shrank, and he realized something in an instant. He turned his head and locked onto the source of the voice, and saw a guy dressed in an ordinary small flag, quickly retreating to the back of the crowd. "Fuck." He is the real commander. Sure enough, all the more than 3,000 genie guards were mobilized, and the blocking crowd dispersed, revealing 10 cannons that had already been loaded. 10 torches appeared, and the fuses were lit at the same time. Ha! This scene made Lu Yuan sneer. There are more than 3,000 people, you are so damn determined to seek death, you can't blame me. Hua! Click! Lu Yuan casually broke the neck of the fake commander, and his body of more than 150 kilograms was thrown towards the nearest burning artillery. He himself flew up and shot out 2 5-meter-long infuriating cannons with all his strength. Giant palm, due to safety and technology issues, the fuse length of military artillery fire during the Ming dynasty was about 3 seconds. The moment the fuse was lit, Lu Yuan understood that he could no longer interrupt them all. He could only try his best to stop a few artillery fire from the central area. As for letting him fly in and intercept the shells by force, are you kidding, playing a life-saving rescue game? Do you really think he is Zhang Wuji? The genie in front of me were probably happy to see that scene. As for what to do if someone is dead or injured if they can't be saved. No matter what, saving is a matter of affection, not saving is a duty. A gentleman can be bullied. Mr. Lu is a gentleman, he is not. If he had been 2 years earlier, he might still be sitting on a distant hill, eating melon seeds, and commenting, "This artillery is not good, the stone core bullet is not as powerful as the flower bullet." Return to the field. Following Lu Yuan's shout just now, on the high ground in the distance, Lu Hua, who had been preparing for a long time, suddenly stood up, raised her feet and stepped on the rock in front of her, fixing her body, and covered her mouth and nose with a triangle handkerchief. Holding a box of lit fireworks tubes, his eyes were excited and bright, and his pretty face under the handkerchief was slightly red with excitement. She had endured this moment for almost 2 weeks. Bang bang. Boom. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. At that moment, 3 loud noises appeared at the same time. If you slow down time and observe the whole scene, you will find dark red pyrotechnic bombs flew out of the cylinder, carrying Lu Hua's excitement. 2 5-meter-long Jinchi giant palms covered 4 artillery pieces and crushed them down the moment the barrels lit up. The remaining 6 doors, apart from the one knocked crooked by the false commander, were all in flames, spitting out black projectiles. Chapter 69, Choice. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After this scene, wailing and deathly silence are destined to become the main themes of the subsequent movements. Boom. Boom. Ah. Ah. My hand. Taiwan Novel Network. Master. Master. Senior brother. Why are you, woo-woo? At once the 5 artillery pieces are specially designed for sieges and are used to attack the crowd. Even if they are not loaded with explosive ammunition, each of their roars and projections will be enough to open up a shocking bloody path on the battlefield, leaving behind broken limbs. The winding blood trail is chilling. Of course, if the wailing comes from Xuanhuan guests, then the deathly silence comes from Genie Wei. As the poisonous bombs and fireworks exploded in the field, in 2 areas covered by poisonous smoke with a diameter of 50 meters, the vegetation quickly withered. Even if the running Genie Wei covered his mouth and nose, he could not take more than 3 steps before he was poisoned. Death. Just 2 explosions took away more than 300 genie guards in an instant, and as the poisonous mist spread, the death toll continued to increase, and there are 10 more such fireworks and poisonous bombs that Lu Hua is waiting for. Boom. Boom. Ha, ha 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 ha, dot boom. Boom. Aha, ha 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 ha, dot boom. Boom. Aha, aha, aha ha ha ha, that the battlefield that followed could no longer be described as tragic. The Genie Wei fell in pieces, their lives were ruthlessly harvested, and Lu Hua's cheerful laughter mixed with the explosion was somewhat breathtaking. Lu Yuan, who is being slapped, has black lines all over his head. Is this still the flower he sings beautifully? Have you been under too much pressure recently? The thousands of howling battalion cavalry who saw this scene from the periphery were no longer as majestic as when they first arrived. Together with their horses, they were frightened and retreated hurriedly. Ren Wuxing and others originally planned to take advantage of the chaos to rush towards the group of Geniwei, but halfway there, they started to brake frantically and plowed scratches on the ground. Xiang Wentian, who rushed the fastest, had already jumped into the air because he used Qingdong. Unable to stop the car, he actually hit a big tree on his own initiative. Then, ignoring his bleeding forehead, he retreated frantically with a pale face. Lu Yuan, who was in the poisonous smoke and destroyed the last cannon, seemed to have thought of something and quickly turned back to look at the direction of the wind. He immediately reminded loudly, "Huar, don't kill them all." Hearing the sound, Lu Huar, who was laughing, suddenly woke up. "Oh, I almost forgot," that she turned to look at the martial arts arena, and saw a group of people either crying, or looking ashen, or saying goodbye calmly, or confessing loudly. In short, they were looking at the dark red poisonous smoke drifting towards them. Everyone looked desperate, waiting for death to come. Lu Huar stuck out her tongue, quickly threw away the finished firework box, and took out a special single-barrel firework. After being ignited, it was fired directly towards the front of the martial arts field. As it exploded with a boom, a large piece of white smoke floated towards everyone first. This scene immediately frightened many Jianghu people. What does this mean? We agreed to kill him at noon. Why the hell are you going to kill him at noon? The moment of despair comes too suddenly. Fortunately, Lu Yuan's voice followed shortly after. This is the antidote. If you want to die, you don't have to take it. After finishing speaking, the entire martial arts arena fell into silence. The next moment, everyone stretched their necks at the same time and sucked in big mouthfuls. Lu Yuan didn't care about anything else. He looked at the few hundred Geniwei who were still alive in the field. He grinned, opened his palm, and flew into the hand with an embroidered spring knife. He swung his body and entered the crowd. The journey along the way was like cutting grass. He used the Xiuquan Dao as a sword. Occasionally he met a few people fleeing in groups, and he raised his hand and slapped them. Lu Huar also came to the field at this time. With her extraordinary light skills, she lit a poisonous incense and darted back and forth in the field. No one survived wherever she passed. From time to time, she ran in the wrong direction, and there would be demon sections. The disciples reminded enthusiastically, each of them looking more actively than their own fighting. Lu Yuan paid a little attention and then continued to pursue Geniwei to harvest, and soon found his target. It was the real commander who quickly retreated after giving the order. The sword flashed, cutting half of the opponent's neck open, and blood mist sprayed wildly. The man fell to the ground in a daze, his eyes looking not at Lu Yuan, but at the woods ahead. His expression seemed to show reluctance. Lu Yuan looked along and saw the former Tiger War camp. From a distance, I saw the horse commander waving. Say hello to yourself. Wrong. Lu Yuan suddenly felt palpitations. His sharp eyes swept across the whole place, and he instantly noticed the two people on the outermost sides in the southwest directions. They are taking out the fire certificates. This is not good. Lu Yuan instinctively searched for Lu Huar's location, but found that the distance was too far and there was no time to get there. What to do? His whole body quickly calmed down, and everything around him came into view, and time seemed to slow down for a moment. The next moment, his whole body was full of true energy. He suddenly turned around and kicked the long knife that fell from the commander on the ground with a kick full of true energy. Amidst the buzzing sound, the long knife flew out and headed straight for the person closest to him in the south. Then he used his strength to rotate his body, and his eyes locked on the guy farthest away from him. At this time, the guy was about to turn around and flee. Beside him was the spinning fire stick that had been thrown into the air. The five-color true energy in Lu Yuan's right hand turned black, quickly covering the blade, and even emitted a trace of cold air. The five elements turn into water, and kidney water is black. At the same time, his left hand quickly calculated in mid-air, distance, height, wind speed, temperature, sunlight angle, blade length. It's there. Lu Yuan's eyes were sharp. When his body turned to the front, he just calculated the result, and the long knife in his right hand was thrown out with all his strength. Woo! A sound of breaking through the air. In the distance, just when the rotating fire starter was about to touch the gunpowder on the ground, the black light arrived. The ground sprinkled with gunpowder was completely unrecognizable in an instant. A 1-meter wide and more than 10-meter long soil mark was plowed out, and a layer of white frost formed on the surface of the soil mark. When his body landed, Lu Yuan breathed a sigh of relief, and a layer of fine sweat broke out on his back. In the distance, the Tiger Roar camp, who saw that the ignition of the explosives failed in this way, turned their horses around without any hesitation and turned away. Lu Yuan ignored him and called Lu Huar to his side. There were not many Jinyui left in the field at this time. But since he had already started killing, he would naturally not leave any remnants. In the dense forest, the last 3 frightened Jinyui were fleeing frantically. The last one, seeing that he could not catch up with his companions, decisively swung his knife to attack and injured his teammates. While the other party kept cursing, he ran forward with a sick smile. At this time, a stone was chasing from behind, and it was about to hit the other party's head. The man suddenly stumbled and avoided the stone. "Huh!" A curious voice came from behind, and when the voice fell, 2 figures had already come close. "Master! Ant! Spare my life! Spare my life! I am just a low-level Jinyui. I didn't even know what the mission was before I came. Please spare my life, Master, Ant." The Jinyui knelt on the ground, and his head was banging. Lu Yuan's expression was calm, and there was already a stone between his fingers. Just as he was about to raise his hand to make up for the blow, his action suddenly stopped. Looking at the other person's appearance, Lu Yuan was a little dazed, and his memory quickly went back to 6 years ago. I still remember that it was in front of Lu's clinic, Tanshi Street, Xiangyang City. The scene that day was like a movie replay. In the clinic, the middle-aged Dr. Lu asked people a little embarrassedly. "It's my personal matter. I know that you have been traveling for many years. I want you to help me pay attention to whether you have seen a young man with a wide nose, long ears, and a mole on the tip of his nose. He is about 20 years old and looks similar to me." At that time, Lu Yuan was looking for a place to learn medical skills, and later he chose this one. He still vaguely remembered the tacit communication between the two and the black dog that was hurt. "Lu Yuan." Lu Huar's voice interrupted Lu Yuan's memories. Coming back to his senses, looking at the man kneeling in front of him, Lu Yuan frowned and asked, "Tanshi Street, Lu's clinic, do you know it?" The Jinyui who was kneeling on the ground begging for mercy was stunned when he heard it, and then he was surprised. "My home. That's my family's clinic. Since you know it, you must also know my father. His name is Lu Weiman." "Uncle, he is my father, he is my father." Looking at the other party's ecstasy, Lu Yuan pursed his lips. Kill or not? Chapter 70 Conscience and Choice. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In the eyes of outsiders, this problem may be small and not worthy of too much attention. Whether he kills or not will not have any impact on him, but the fact is that those coincidences of fate often have different meanings. This statement does not specifically refer to the coincidence of the person who just stumbled and escaped the crisis, and the subsequent accident of discovering that he was the son of an old friend. Lu Yuan would not think narcissistically that this was a test for him by a high-ranking being. With the knowledge of later generations and having read many scriptures, he was able to look at this matter relatively calmly. The so-called different meanings just mean that when people are confused at a certain key node in their growth process, a small thing happens to happen, and this small thing happens to correspond to the confusion in people's hearts. So at this moment the trivial choice in this trivial matter can often determine the person's subsequent character, outlook, or future path. There is another way of saying this phenomenon, asking the mind. This kind of thing happens to everyone. Maybe many years later, when you dream back at midnight, you look back on the past. Your memory may not be clear enough at that time, but a certain node or a certain fragment must still be impressive. Then you will definitely wonder, if I had made another choice that day, what would my subsequent life have been like? Lu Yuan lowered his head and stared at the young man in front of him, and the other man seemed to have noticed something was wrong. His joy was fading away, and he started to tremble like a prisoner waiting for the sentence. For Lu Yuan, his original intention was to kill this person, but in terms of kindness, he did owe Mrs. Lu a debt. He could obey his heart and feel happy from now on, but Lu couldn't explain it. To put it more seriously, Lu selflessly lent him books to read and explain to him. This was because 6 years later, he let him go and left home for many years. Son, this is the fruit. Such a cycle of cause and effect is the right path. If it were anyone else, they would probably do it immediately without even thinking about it. But if they thought about it for a second longer, they would have incorrect views, but Lu Yuan is different. He does not reject cause and effect, but he resists passive restraint. From the moment he came to this world, he decided to live a casual life. He had suffered enough from all kinds of dissatisfaction in his previous life, and now he wanted to pursue transcendent immortality. When Mr. Lu was communicating with Lu Huar, he summed up Lu Yuan in 8 words: be true to yourself and do whatever you want. That maybe some people say that cause and effect is not a constraint. But the cause and effect at this moment is to influence Lu Yuan's thoughts. All of this was such a coincidence. He had just found out his Taoist heart not long ago, and now a targeted choice was placed in front of him. How do you choose? Are you following the Tao and not caring about cause and effect? Or should we adapt a little and repay the kindness and karma? The choice before him seemed simple, but in fact it had already determined the subsequent development of Lu Yuan's mentality. While Lu Yuan remained silent, whoosh! A sleeve arrow suddenly shot out from Lu Huar's sleeve and headed straight for the genie Wei. Just as he was about to hit, the speed of the arrow suddenly slowed down and finally stopped on the opponent's forehead. Lu Yuan opened his fingers slightly, and the sleeve arrow was sucked into his hand. Only then did the genie Wei realize what had happened. He was so frightened that he quickly moved away from Lu Huar, shouting, "Master, help me!" Lu Huar pouted and looked at Lu Yuan aggrievedly. Maybe it malfunctioned because it hasn't been used. Lu Yuan smiled warmly. He naturally knew why Lu Huar wanted to take action, and he could see that he was struggling, but it was different now. The moment Lu Huar took action, he made a decision. The third grade of medicine, the spirit and energy are pure. Lu Yuan muttered to himself, I have been thinking hard for a long time about the importance of original intention and cause and effect, thinking about whether I can make changes or whether I can make a compromise. For this reason, I looked at my heart and even considered the long-term impact, but things turned out to be the opposite. The more I think about it, the more complicated it becomes. It should be noted that there are 2 ways of doing things in the world. People make choices throughout their lives, and they make choices along the way in practice. It can be seen that the right choice has been placed in front of me, but I still want other things. Lu Yuan's tone became more relaxed, and there was even a smile on his lips, and the unrestrained and uninhibited energy of the past was quickly returning. When the genie Wei on the ground saw this, they also started to giggle. Lu Yuan pretended to sigh. Facts have proved that I still cannot be a philanthropic person. After finishing speaking, the arrow from his sleeve suddenly shot out, instantly piercing the opponent's head. The genie Wei still had a hopeful smile on his face and slowly fell to the ground. Looking at the corpse, Lu Yuan smiled and said, what I cultivate is to transcend restraint and act as I please. If I don't kill you today, more similar things will continue to happen in the future, over and over again. Compromising and adapting will sooner or later mess up my mind and make me lose my way. Now, the person is dead, but Lu Yuan's heart is also clear. There was a wind blowing, maybe it was a psychological effect. Lu Yuan felt that he seemed to have lost something, but it didn't matter. He felt more comfortable than ever before, and the illusory path of cultivation ahead became clearer. Lu Yuan felt that he would definitely succeed. It feels like shooting a basketball. The moment the ball is released, you know it will hit. Taking Lu Huar's hand, the two began to return. The Wu's sword sect and other Jianghu guests are being treated and cared for by a group of Sun Moon God sect disciples. There was an indescribable strange harmony in that scene. Every decent disciple who was taken care of had uncontrollable embarrassment flashing across his face. When Lu Yuan and 2 others arrived, the scene was instantly quiet. This time neither Lu Yuan nor Lu Huar changed their disguises, they both used their original faces. The two stood together, like a pair of talented men and beautiful women walking out of a painting. Many Jianghu people looked at them with complicated eyes, some hated them, some were grateful, and some were excited to come forward, but they all restrained themselves, as if they didn't know how to speak. In the end, Xuanhuan coughed lightly and was about to speak, but was stopped by Lu Yuan. 3 things. Lu Yuan stretched out 3 fingers and was still concise and efficient. First, We will not participate in the Jianghu fight, we have no idea of unifying the Jianghu, and we are not interested in power. Second, you don't need to worry about the follow-up of this incident, I will go to the palace in person. Finally, it is my personal expectation that the martial arts of the Jianghu are declining year by year. Compared with the prosperity 100 years ago, now the Jianghu has no innate except the dead Dongfang Bubi, which is really a pity. I just hope that when you play tricks, you can also use some heart in martial arts research, at least delay its end, which is also a guarantee for your safety. After Lu Yuan finished speaking, the scene was still quiet. Seeing this, he was too lazy to stay any longer. He stepped forward to study the poison that everyone was poisoned with. Lu Yuan didn't know whether it was called sad and soft breeze or 10 fragrances softening sutra powder, but the paralysis effect on the body was really exaggerated. While he was thinking about the antidote in his mind, he also wrote down the characteristics of this medicine. With his understanding, it would not be difficult to reverse it later. Then, leaving a prescription, Lu Yuan took Lu Huar's hand, ignored the retention of several masters, flew into the air, stepped on the leaves and left. Until then, many people regretted why they couldn't come forward to talk, or take out the family's secret book and ask the other party for guidance. This is probably the effect of the strongest, and this time, Lu Yuan and his friends left with the world-shaking reputation.